Holic.
100%.
Yes.
All right, everybody. It
Awesome.
is
Thank you.
officially 7:30 server. I look at all the furbolgs. Who invited them? They just tear everything up whenever they come. Thanks everybody for being here. I don't want to take up a lot of your Sunday night because all of you have other
Wait.
things to do. Unless your name is X,
Okay, we're good.
especially if your name is
We're good.
Xbyte and you
Sorry, Pickles is
want to
here. We're good.
play Pal World. So what I want to do is just kind of celebrate a couple of things as we kind of start the meeting. This morning I was looking and doing some figuring on what it looked like for Filthy Casuals in the first phase, and as of this morning we have 900 players in the guild, 900 characters in the guild, which is phenomenal. 900? Are you kidding me? In just the 2 months that we've been together, that goes down to about 493 accounts, so about 493 players on 900 characters, which is really, really amazing. I was also looking at, okay, well, how many of those are actually active? And I found out that about 60% of that 900 have been active in the last week. So it's pretty phenomenal. This is an exceptional community, and I'm so proud of you guys just for making it such a wonderful place. We've had 8 official raid teams running every lockout, and we've had organized flex runs almost every night of the week. Um, I did a little bit of math, and so if you count up all of the instances that we have run in BFD, we've had at least 25 instances of characters killing Akamai in our official runs. That would include both the official teams and flex rays, which I think is amazing. 2,500. I mean, there are some guilds that struggle to bring him down, but you guys are really awesome. So that's some phenomenal things. Another thing that I would celebrate is we did on Friday night our hardcore team. We had 11 folks that decided to take the hardcore challenge. They made it to 25. They got geared up and pulled their resources and were able to clear BFD on Friday night with no one dying. So that was pretty exciting. Well done to you guys. I also want to thank our officers who are some of them were not able to be here tonight, but those who are, I just want to thank Bloodied and Nicolette and Jaceris and Araquium and Puddles. You guys and lady are an awesome team, and I just want to thank every one of you guys. A great place to be. We also have a raid leadership team, 16 people on the raid leadership team. Some of them officers, some not, and I want to thank all of you that have stepped up for leadership in this guild. I really do appreciate it, and we couldn't run as many runs as we do weekly in raiding without you guys. So thank you so much. So we also have some good things to talk about in terms of our bank. One of the things that I do appreciate about our raiders is that they are generous, and one of the things that we've tried to do is make certain that we give up the greens and BOEs that aren't needed for progression. We give those up in the raid, and those go into the guild bank, and then those go back in turn for other raid mats. I don't want to steal Nicolette, but I did ask her to talk a little bit about where we are with the bank, what things are looking like, and some of the benefits of the bank. And so I just welcome Nicolette and ask you to take it away.
Sure, thank you very much. Wanted to let everybody know, I know we have some new people, so please forgive me if I'm covering some things that you know. But in Discord, there is a channel that's called Quartermaster. And in that channel, in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a little pin. In that pin, there is a Google sheet that's called Guild Inventory. At any time, you can see what is in the Guild Bank by going to that Guild Inventory sheet. We currently have over $500 or 500 gold in the Guild Bank, along with a ton of enchanting mats and a bunch of Phase 2 materials that we're collecting. In Phase 1, all the greens, as Mac mentioned, and blue BOEs went to the Guild Bank, and they're all being sent to FC Bank. And all blues that are not used by the Raiders will be DE'd, and the enchanting mats are sent to the guild bank. This will continue for phase 2. The blue BOEs will again be offered in phase 2 to the guild at 50% of the AH value. Currently, we are offering free enchanting mats to all raiders and anybody who needs enchanting mats. And phase 2, this will continue. I'm also intending, in addition to leveling my main as quick as possible, to level enchanting on FC Bank. So not only will I be able to give the free enchanting mats, but also do the enchanting on FC Bank. So that will hopefully make it a little bit more streamlined and easier. For those of you who are around phase 1, you know that the bank also provided bags with your mats. I'm going to try to do that also for phase 2, provide 12 slot bags as quickly as I can level up tailoring. And so with your mats, as if I can make it where I can use the bank mats or donations, I will do that. So any donations of Mage Weave would be much appreciated as we're leveling. Supplemental raid mats have been given to raid teams each week at no cost to raid members, like free action potions, shadow protection potions, lesser mana potions. And phase 2, we've been stockpiling materials for fire protection potions and nature protection potions. We are really well set on all those materials except small flame sacks. We still need those. If you can donate those, it would really be great. I will tell you that farming those takes forever, but the price has dropped to a fairly reasonable degree. They're typically, you can usually find them below 15 silver. So if you have a little bit extra gold laying around and can donate to the guild bank, that would be much appreciated. I'm trying to buy them as the price drops, but if you have Target.com, you're funny. If you have any extra money sitting around and feel like donating to the guild bank, that would be great. And that's it. Turn it back over to you, Mac. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and just a reminder that we do want to continue to enchant our main raiders, not their alts, but main raiders, because that's how we can pay back with you guys, and as we are able, we do want to make certain it's good to have some reserves in the guild. Any consumables that we're able to farm up and provide, as we did in phase 1. I would hope that we should be able to do that in phase 2 as well, and that kind of takes some of the sting off of having to farm things up or purchase expensive consumables out of the bank. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what phase 2 is going to look like. So that's going to be February the 8th when it drops. We don't know if it's morning, afternoon, evening. Who knows? How patch days can go. It's going to. I know folks have different philosophies on how they want to do it. Some of you want to dungeon grind. Some of you want to quest. And so I would just encourage you to group up with folks in the guild to help your leveling experience. A lot of times you can do things a lot quicker, especially with kill quests, or if you're doing dungeon grinding, it can certainly be helpful. So, my encouragement is to find a couple of leveling parties. Maybe if you're on a raid team, do a 5-man with your raid team, and you can do some grinding, you can do some questing, whatever. That just helps to build guild camaraderie, and so definitely encourage you to do that. We have plenty of Discord channels, so you can find a room to group up with folks and be a part of that. The other thing that I would say about grouping up is for healers, they can have a harder time leveling sometimes. So make certain that you invite them, because sometimes leveling is really, really slow with them because it's harder for them to kill things. All right, so what are we looking in terms of when we want to start raiding for season 2 or for phase 2? The deadline that we have set for everyone is that we expect our main raiders to be at 40 and ready to go for raid no later than 2 weeks after the patch. Now that doesn't say you can't start any earlier if everybody gets ready. So if you have for example, if Sev's team if they're ready after a week, then so be it. If you guys want to start raiding early, that's perfectly fine. But we do expect all of our main raiders to be to be at 40 and ready to go no later than 2 weeks after the patch. And just the reminder that if you do, I know you do want to keep your raid spot, so keep that in mind that you do need to be at max level by that point. Any questions about that particular point, or any comments, anything that I can help with?
I have I have one comment, which is my understanding based on what Blizzard has been communicated so far or asked that they are very likely to delay the opening of the raid by 1 week from the launch.
Yeah.
So even if you level up in 2 days, there's no raid for you until 5 days later.
Yep. Exactly. That's
They haven't said anything whether it's
They
like-
haven't confirmed it, but it looks very heavily that it will be the case.
They're considering it, but
Yeah.
they haven't even said anything one way or another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
So
just
it's
don't-
too early to make any assumption.
Yeah, we don't know whether or not there's going to be a 3-day lockout, a week lock. It's just so much is up in the air. At least we know that it's 10-man group, and that
We'll see when we see.
That made me so know that we have 10-man groups, because then we didn't have to reorganize our raid teams, which made me a very happy man. So anyway, 2 weeks after the patch. So let's talk a little bit about our loot system. So it will probably be a couple of, probably a week or two. We just need to kind of play it by ear before we start the flex raids. Probably a little bit of lag behind our main raids starting, but the flex raids will continue on. They are going to be, we'll continue to run those in the next phase, because I think it provides a lot of great options for folks that are wanting to be a part of the guild and wanting to raid, but maybe they can't, they have a weird schedule and can't commit to, set nights every week. So that's great. So we want to, I really, really enjoy those flex rates. Again, with the flex rates, just a reminder that that our loot rules will continue to be for those that will do main spec and off spec roles, and there will be no kind of soft reservation or anything like that. The greens, as they do with our main raids, do go back into the guild bank with our flex raids. The only thing that I would just encourage us to do, and one thing that we need to keep in mind, is that with the flex raids, everybody's bringing almost everybody's bringing in alts, and I would just encourage you, if you win a piece or two, don't be a loot hog. And there might come a time when it's just time to stop rolling on loot. We've had a couple of situations where folks have rolled on and needed on 4 or 5 pieces in one night, while other people got shut out. So I understand the roll is the most important thing, but just think about your other guildies and try not to be to hog loot too much. I agree with you, Amari. I think overall we've had a lot of really, really good experiences with flex raids. I think it's been kind of what the doctor ordered, and providing that flexible schedule for folks to be able to raid. We do want to talk a little bit about... Question?
Can I add one thing as well? It would be nice if some people who have gotten everything they want would actually still be showing in the raid, rather than just skip the raid because they already got everything.
I would agree. I mean, if you are committing to a main raid, the expectation is that you are there every time we have a lockout until the end of the until the group as a whole decides to stop raiding, and it's a commitment to everybody. It's just like we would in the middle of the patch. If people stop showing up, then they're probably, if on my team, if somebody stops showing up, they're going to get replaced. So if you want to keep your spot, you just need to keep showing up. So we do want to do a little bit of a little bit of a talk about a tweak to loot that we're going to be implementing. We've been talking a lot to um, among officers as well as leadership. As we announced a couple of weeks ago, we are going to continue the hard reserve for our tanks and healers, as we did with the first phase. And the main reason for this is because it is really, really difficult for us to get tanks and healers. Those are the two hardest for us to be able to get into a raid, because everybody wants to play DPS, and that's perfectly fine. But for us, we found that it's a very successful incentive for folks to play those roles, which often are very thankless. If you're a tank, I appreciate all of you guys. If you're a healer, I appreciate all of you guys and ladies too. So thank you. But we are going to continue that hard reserve for those roles going on into the next phase. The other thing, that we've kind of been looking at is our loot system. And so right now, as you all know, we do the soft reserve system for our main raids. And, one of the, there are a million different loot systems out there. And I can tell you that we have, as a leadership, we have looked at every one of them. We've considered the pluses and the minuses for each of them. And one of the things that, we ended up on this soft res is because it felt like it was one of the fairest ways to get loot out to people, to get them the gear that they really, really wanted, they would be able to reserve. But one of the shortcomings of soft reserve is that it does not award faithfulness points. So dragon kill points, in other words. So if you're showing up week after week after week after week, there's kind of that faithfulness aspect of being there and earning something for that, right? So that makes it really, really difficult for folks to for folks who are more used to that type of a loot system. We have considered all the loot systems out there. I will tell you, just moving forward, we will never, ever, ever, ever do GDKP in this guild. And the primary reason is that, number one, we're a guild, we're family, and family doesn't charge each other. So that's one thing. The other thing too is that when we get people that are brand new to SOD, they come in, they don't have much gold, they're not going to be able to roll on gear and to get geared up. And so what that does is that creates a haves and haves not type of situation. The other thing is that it also tempts some of those players to buy gold, and no matter what you think about buying gold, I do believe that it does destroy the economy. Nicolette, if you can invite Guldad, please.
Yep, got it.
Thank you. So it does inflate the economy and makes it really, really hard for newer players. So, for those reasons, this guild will never do GDKP. Soft reserve is something that's just, it works for 10 man. It's perfectly fine for 10 man. And, this season so far, we have really not had very many overall, out of all the runs that we've done in BFD, we really haven't had hardly any loot issues at all. So that's good, and it's definitely a testimony to all of you guys for not being greedy and for doing things the right way. So I do appreciate it. So we know that we're going to use soft res as long as there is 10 in rating. One of the things that we recognize is that when we get to 60, we're going to have 20 and 40 man content. At that point, we realize that we're going to have to use something that's a little more sophisticated. That is that's something that they will need to look at at that point. But for now, 10 man, that loot system works. One of the things that we do want to build in that will be a slight tweak for our main raids, just in terms of loot. So say for example, your raid team has been going on and raiding in Nomergon for a month, and you need to one night you need to replace somebody. Okay, and so so at that point we're bringing in someone from the outside of your raid team. Well, what could happen extensively is that they could win a piece that somebody has been, one of our faithful raid team leaders or raid team raiders have been wanting for a long, long, long time. So, that can be really difficult to swallow. I understand that it is, that they're using their lockout too. I get it 100%. But also, I want to honor those who have been there time after time and sacrificed times away from their family. And so, one of the things that we will be implementing in phase 2 is this little tweak to honor our main raiders. Number 1, if we have to pug, and I hope that we never, ever, ever have to pug. I just hate pugging people from outside the guild because then they start getting our loot. Okay. But if we have to pug, they're not going to get any sort of soft reserve. They can roll main spec off spec, but they're not going to get a soft reserve. Also, if we have a substitute from just from the guild, we're thankful for you wanting to run with the main team and helping us out if you're just filling in for one night. But we would exempt them from that soft reserve as well. And I know that sounds a little bit harsh, but I will say that if for those of you who have raided, it's very rare for us to see more than one. Sometimes we get 2 soft reserves actually to drop in one raid. So it would be very, very rare for somebody to miss out on loot because of that. So so we want to do that. Now, if we have, for example, someone who is a main raider, and say, for example, their raid team is not running on that particular lockout, and they want to come in with another raid team, one of the main raid teams, then we would extend a soft reserve to that main raider. That way they could continue to raid and continue to have a part of that. I hope you guys are having fun just marching around the room, by the way. Muchler, what am I going to do with you? You're just following Red Bay, aren't you? All right.
We're guarding the room.
Hey man, we're patrolling, okay?
You guys are clearly bored. So anyway, that's the idea, is we want to make certain that we honor our folks that are there all the time. We do want to thank those who pug in or who substitute in, but they won't be able to get those most coveted pieces. Also, the other thing is, say we get a month into the raid and we have an opening in the raid team and we need to fill it with a permanent position. We are going to, if that person joins the raid team, they're going to have a 2-week trial period, and during that trial period, essentially they're trying out for the team. We would hold out on their soft reserve for 2 weeks, and after 2 weeks, then they would be able to participate in the soft reserve system. So essentially, what that does is that helps to honor the commitment of our main raiders, and helps to kind of build in a little bit of that DKP aspect. So that's what we're looking at. Yeah, question?
If the raids are on a 3-day lockout, 2 weeks means you're basically missing like 6 chances of rolls.
So in 2 weeks, it could be 4.
Would it be better to just have,
Yeah, 4
4
or
to
5.
5.
Yeah, it's either 4 or 5
Yeah.
raids. And we're going to raid, in any raid tier, you're going to be able to raid about 20 to 25 times.
And just to be clear,
we're not saying that you can't. We're not saying that you're not going to get loot. You are going to get loot. Chances are, if you come in a month,
You're going to get a lot of loot,
you're going to get a lot of loot.
just
It's
not soft rolls.
We're protecting, just a couple of pieces that people have been waiting to drop. Does that make sense?
right, you didn't say that you can't roll on non-res loot. You just said that you won't be on the soft res sheet for those 2 weeks,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yep.
Except for you, Kamadre.
Well, I'll get
I
my
just-
loot one way or another. You know that.
I just know that if I were to be growing into a group and the Kelris's staff is hard reserved,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not even able to roll on it and it drops 3 times in a row, and I don't have the option. I would be a little cranky.
Sure.
I mean, I can understand the first couple of lockouts because I was on a trial, but
Yep.
if I missed out on multiples of that, I would be cranky.
Sure. Well,
I've seen Keltra's staff once in our raid group, so that's
Oh yeah, I know.
that's
not that
that's not a good example. Yeah, probably. I got paid for it.
On average, it takes 20 runs to get C1.
Mhm.
Maybe it should
So
just be like 3 lockouts or something.
Yeah, I think 4 to 5 is a little too many lockouts.
3 would be good.
Okay, that's something we can definitely take into consideration. So.
One other thing I was wondering, and I respect the idea of the whole like, I do want to promote the respecting of the people who are there all the time, but I want to know if you since it's very hard to have healers and tanks, if you have to pug a healer or a tank, does that tank not get to do any reserves as well?
Yep, I mean that they are a raid member that would not get to reserve. But again, remember, we see the soft reserve very, very rare for us. I mean, if you guys have been raiding in the main raid teams this whole patch, we haven't seen any more than 1. Sometimes we get 2, but most of the time we get shut out. We get shut out on soft reserves actually dropping. So. The good thing here's the nice thing about phase 2 is hopefully is you can continue to go into BFD and try to farm that staff up if you want. So that'll be really, really nice. You can continue to go back there because I think the staff is going to be good until it's pretty close to, for priests, it's pretty close to what you would need going into the very last, going into the end game, you'd have to replace it. But so anyway, that's kind of what we're looking at loot. Just the reminder too is, loot is one of those things that I have seen tear a guild apart, because there was inconsistency or, for whatever reason, a corrupt loot council, whatever. So I would just encourage each of us, to trust our, trust our guild, trust the raid leaders, that we're going to do things the right way, and then we're not going to do an unequal application or bend rules for people, because I don't want to see loot drama. That's one thing that can really erode away the confidence in a guild, and it can really create some difficulty. So we definitely want to just keep it in perspective that loot. It's a great reward for raiding, but it's not something that is worth the cost of guild continuity and in the sense of family that we are. So just kind of something to keep in mind. I would encourage you, if you're in doubt whether or not if you're in doubt about a piece before rolling, just talk it out over Discord. If there's a piece that you think is a upgrade, and I'm going to instruct all of my raid leaders to slow down when it comes to parting out loot, because it's easy to take a little bit to go a little bit too quickly, and it's easy to accidentally loot something to someone when just taking an extra minute or two to make certain that the loot's going to the right person. We haven't had, hardly any of that at all, but I would just encourage our folks to slow down. That way folks can get the right pieces. The other thing is, when if we're out and running dungeons and open world questing, I would encourage you, if you're running a dungeon with a guildie, just make certain that you guys establish how you want to do loot beforehand. For example, if some sort of BE drops, I know Staff of Jordan will be available in this next phase. So if Staff of Jordan drops and you've got a caster, we're in a level 25 by level staff. You know, instead of everybody needing on it, you know, the nice thing to do. You don't have to do it, but the nice thing to do would be able to gear up your guildie, right? But you know, I also understand that that's a very, you know, that could also bring a lot of gold. So I would just say, you know, in parties, if you're doing party or dungeons, establish your loot rules before you go in, and I think that will help.
I would
If you
have
manage those expectations beforehand. That will really help to resolve any drama because everybody's agreed to beforehand.
I would have one recommendation for if you are doing a loot runs. In your group, do an agreement that you are gonna run that until everybody gets what they want from there, as long as you're not targeting something that's a 1% drop chance.
Yep. Sure. Absolutely. All right. Before we move on, you know, again, remember, as we interact with guildies, just a reminder is our number one goal here in the guild. And if you look in our read here first, the very first thing is we want everybody to treat and respect one another as they want to be respected themselves. So, you know, it's kind of that whole old golden rule thing, you know, treat others as you want to be treated. So that's what I would just request out of all of you guys, to treat your guildies like family. And I think if we do that, then we're going to have a really, really great place to be. All right. Any questions or any other comments?
I got a question.
Yeah.
I wasn't listening. Can we start over again?
X-Bite, of course.
See, when a man loves a woman very much,
Oh,
right.
jeez.
we are recording, so you
Heyo.
can go back and you can read that, and you can watch it. All right, so let's move on to a couple of last little things, little tidbits. We did open up a 9th raid team that's being led by Jumpsy and Splifferton. Thanks to both of those guys. We do have our tanks. We do have our healers. We just need a viable DPS comp. And so if you were thinking about raiding with that team, you do need to fill out the survey that we linked in announcements last week. So if you do want to raid with that team, you need to fill out that survey. I would also follow that up with a conversation with either Jumpsy or Splifferton. And that way you guys can kind of get hooked up. We do want to have that team up and running. We want to get all of our raid teams full. So I'm going to be instructing all of our raid leaders to make certain before we start phase 2 that all of our raid teams are completely full. That way we get there. Yep, and the other thing to remember is that we only allow one main on a main raid team. So if you have a main on one team, you do not get a permanent raid position on a second team. So that's just how we're running things. If you have alts that you want to run, that's why we do flexes. Last thing that we have is that we are looking for a couple of folks to help us out with a little bit. A couple of things. These are not necessarily officer positions, but just they're just a couple of positions of needs for us. Araquium is going to be he's going to become our guild events coordinator. So from time to time we do fun things like we did one time we did for a Christmas party. We did a Christmas party and we did a raid on Orgrimmar to kill Gammon. And so sometimes those types of things are fun. And so Araquium is going to be doing that. But if you want to help him out and serve on a council to kind of help plan some of these fun events, make certain that you reach out to Araquium. He is a man of many alts, but he also is an officer here. So he unfortunately couldn't be here tonight because he has his baby. His baby, I think, is a son. In the ER tonight, so our thoughts go out to him.
Hold on. I need to know how that raid went.
What raid?
The raid on Gammon? Y'all went and raided Gammon? How did that go?
It was a success.
It was a success.
We got 2 dishonorable kills.
He died.
We got him.
Yep.
Some of us even made it out alive.
Yep.
I got out alive.
A few of us
I
got
did
out
not.
alive, not many.
I did not.
I'm pretty sure we've got it on. Yeah, we do have it on video.
Video.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's on. We have that on.
Okay.
On video.
I thought you were going to say we have it on farm.
Yeah, Gammons on farm. That's the new guild name.
And we have the Yuletide
event
That's-
is
That's the new guild
Make-
name, Gammon on Farm. All right, so if you want to help out with guild events, that would be appreciated. Because a lot of times, we need, we work together, we raid together a lot. We need to play together a little more too, which is, I think that's always a good thing to build guild camaraderie. The other thing is, and the last thing that I'll talk about is we're looking for somebody that has a passion to coordinate PvP. Ashenvale was not so much of a PvP fest, but I know that we've got some folks that do want to do some PvP. I have a feeling, at least what we've heard from that has been mentioned, STV is going to be a hotly contested area. So I think we're going to see a lot of action in the jungle. So if PvP is your passion and you want to coordinate some things for PvP, make sure you reach out to me. I'd be glad to talk to you about it because we are, I think that'd be a fun thing that we can do as a guild to beat back the horde in STV. So
it might be even recommendable when you are going questing on there to quest in a 5-person group, because otherwise you are gonna be running back so much that you are gonna quit in rage.
Yep, absolutely. That is, well, if you get flagged anyway, so for sure.
You are automatically flagged in there. Oh, sorry.
No.
You
No,
are not
it's a
automatically. It's
PvE
not a PvP
server.
server.
Nope. So anyway, I thought it would be fun. Yeah, I think it'd be kind of fun if we are not only feared by raid bosses but also by the horde on this server.